Hi everyone, Miss Cotran here. Today we will start learning about your body's immune system. So make sure you are following along in your notes so you're able to answer the questions correctly when the video pauses. So what is the immune system? Some people have a great, strong immune system and they're never sick, like me. Some people have a very weak immune system, and so they struggle with always being sick. Your immune system is your body's ability to fight against disease and infection. Now, disease is caused by what are known as pathogens. Pathogens are bad. They are disease-causing organisms. They may be alive, they may not be alive. So we have bacteria could cause disease, virus, or a retrovirus. I want us to revisit the structure of bacteria. Remember that bacteria is a living thing. So it has DNA, so it can replicate, but it also has a cell wall, okay? Remember, it's a prokaryotic cell. Now, do eukaryotic cells or your cells have a cell wall? No, right? Plants and bacteria have cell walls. That's really important because of the way that antibiotics work. When we look at the structure of bacteria, it can either be spherical, it can be rod shaped, or it can be spiral, depending on the type of bacteria it is. So this is what it looks like under a microscope. So, what types of shapes do bacteria have? Answer this question. So, you might not believe this, but you have more bacteria cells in your body and on your body than you do eukaryotic cells. And almost all bacteria is good bacteria that is beneficial for your health. I know that doesn't make sense, but that's what I have to make sure that you know. There's good bacteria, and then there's pathogenic bacteria, which is bad. Now, bacteria is actually very useful. What does bacteria do? Well, bacteria decomposes organic material, which means living material. So when you think about things like yogurt and cheese and pickles, these types of foods, well, they actually have good bacteria in them. So they're very good for you to eat. And bacteria, for example, on your skin actually helps prevent infection. And bacteria in your digestion, in your gut, right, is going to help digest food. All right. And it also makes vitamins. So there are some good uses for bacteria. So let's answer this question now. How is bacteria used in an ecosystem? Most often it is misunderstood, but bacteria is very helpful. How is it helpful? Answer this question. Okay, I want to start talking about bad bacteria, pathogenic bacteria. Remember, a pathogen causes disease. What does a pathogen do? Causes disease. It can cause disease in two ways. When bacteria is bad, it breaks down healthy cells for food. So bacteria mainly destroys living tissue because it's eating it. Okay, remember, bacteria eats, it digests, it's alive. Now, when it does this, it can produce a poisonous protein that is released into your bloodstream and can travel throughout your body. That's why bacteria, when you get a bacterial infection, it can spread throughout the bloodstream. What's spreading is that poison, and it can disrupt normal activity and damage your tissues. So if you get a bad bacterial infection, it is lethal. It can kill you because of the toxic protein. So less than 1%, less than 1% of bacteria is bad. Okay? Only 1% of bacteria can actually cause disease in humans, animals, and plants. So who has had food poisoning before? Have you had food poisoning where you ate something bad and then you threw up? Okay. So that is caused by bad bacteria. Things like, what's in, chicken, like E. coli, that type of thing. Okay. Who has ever had strep throat before? Strep throat before. I'm going to show you real quick. Let's go to strep throat. Okay. So this is strep throat. It's when you have a really bad sore throat. If you were to open up your mouth and take a look and see, man, do I have a bacterial infection? You would need to determine that, because if you have a bacterial infection, that's when you would want to go to the doctor and take antibiotics. So you'd open up your mouth, you take a look and see that if you have an if it's normal, you're going to look back at your tonsils and you're going to see, okay, are these infected? Are they swollen? Are they red? Maybe they're a little bit inflamed. Okay. But if you had a yellow patch and your tonsils were really enlarged, okay, this is a sign of strep throat. So when you go to the doctor, often they'll take a cotton swab and they'll test it to see if you have that strep throat bacteria. If so, they would give you antibiotics. Okay? So if you have a bacterial infection, I want to show you what the body does to fight infection. Okay? So immune cells eat and destroy bacteria. See the bacteria, it's rod-shaped. Yeah. So the immune cells are called white blood cells, known as macrophages. And what they do is they try and get rid of anything bad that comes into your body, like bacteria. And when they eat bacteria, it's called phagocytosis. So bacteria is going to release proteins, remember, that's going to alert the white blood cells, and they're going to attach themselves to the bacteria because there's some proteins that are present on the surface of the cells. And then pretty much white blood cells will go to eat that bacteria, digest it, and they will shred it into pieces. And they are either used by the cell or they're released by the cell. Okay. So, when your body is not able, your white blood cells is not able to find and eat and destroy all of the bacteria. Okay. Like when you have strep throat and it's really getting worse. What's going to happen is you're going to go to the doctor and the doctor will say, hey, you need to take some antibiotics. It's really important that you know that when you take antibiotics, you are actually killing both the good bacteria and the bad bacteria in your body. A lot of people don't understand that. So whenever you take antibiotics and you decide to do that, you weaken your own immune system. Okay? Let me explain how this works. Penicillin is one of the first antibiotics discovered by doctors. When you take the antibiotic, what does it do? It goes after all of the cells in your body, every single bacteria cell that has a cell wall, and it's going to rupture it. So it's going to destroy the ability for bacteria cells to exist, right? It's going to destroy everything. And so when it destroys everything, look at what happens. Let's watch this quick video. How do antibiotics work?
How do antibiotics work? Before there were antibiotics, you only had two choices if you got an infection. You could wait and hope for the best, or you had to cut off the infected part of the body. Not exactly great choices. But now that we have a pill that can magically cure almost any infection, how do these antibiotics even work? Antibiotics are used to cure bacterial infections, which can be anything from pneumonia, anthrax, ulcers to acne. And the way they work is by attacking things that bacterial cells have and human cells do not. For example, human cells don't have cell walls, while many types of bacteria do. So an antibiotic like penicillin works by keeping a bacterium from building a cell wall and eventually killing it. Other forms of antibiotics actually target a bacteria's DNA and prevent them from replicating, which prevents the spread of the infection and eventually cures you. Basically, antibiotics murderously destroy all dangerous bacterial cells while allowing human cells to live happily ever after, kind of like the Terminator. Unfortunately, though, Terminator penicillin or any other types of antibiotics will not kill viruses, which is why we can never seem to get rid of those pesky colds. Speaking of viruses, what the heck are they? Check out our video here to learn.
Okay. So something super important to know, that when you take antibiotics and you have a viral infection, like a flu or something like that, like it's not going to help you. So a lot of the times you go to the doctor, they're going to give you antibiotics, but you don't actually have a bacterial infection. So what is it going to do to your body? Well, it is going to destroy all of the good bacteria that is in your intestines. Antibiotics destroy the good and the bad bacteria that is living in your gut. So the question is, do you think antibiotics are harmful for your health? Answer this question. Okay, so I'm not sure if what you answered, but you have to realize that your gut, your intestines, need bacteria for your immunity. You understand that? Good bacteria will help with your digestion. That's why like 60% of your immune cells, they're in your intestines because bacteria helps digest food. You get it? Okay. Good bacteria, that's what it does. So the ideal balance for your gut health is 90% good bacteria to 10% bad bacteria. All right. So it's actually okay to even have a little bad bacteria in your gut. All right. So tomorrow we are going to talk about the differences between bacteria and a virus. The differences between bacteria and a virus. I just want you to know that a bacteria is a cell. It's a living thing. And of course, it can be killed by antibiotics. So if you get something like strep throat, okay, it can be killed by bacteria. But a virus is very different. You see it? You see how a virus is very different? Okay. It is not made of cells. It is not alive. You understand? And it's very, very small. It cannot be killed with antibiotics. One of the main viruses we're going to be studying is HIV, which later can turn into AIDS. Smallpox is another virus, of course. We're going to be really studying HIV. Okay? So tomorrow we'll be talking about the difference between bacteria and a virus. That'll be your warm-up question for tomorrow. And have a wonderful day, and I will see you tomorrow.